Welcome to Startup Directories. Now this is our third persistence method we're going to cover in this section of user persistence methods. If you kind of understand a general theme from the first two persistence methods we covered, the schedule task, the run key value that we added to kick off our executable, they generally required some type of configuration change and the uploading of an executable. So we uploaded our Sliver remote access tool. While Startup Directories is a little bit different. You actually don't have to make any configuration changes. If you just upload a bat file or an executable to a specific set of directories, each of those directories is going to execute everything in them on user login. Now, it's really helpful as a red team operator to have a number of different tools in your toolbox. If one fails, you can just go ahead and try the next one. And that's why there's so many persistence techniques in the RTFM, and we hope to continue adding to them over time. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and look at the startup folder persistence. So let me pull up the RTFM over here. You can see we give you a number of different folders because there are several different folders that are set to execute on user login. We're gonna really hone in on, let's see here, this one right here. So this is one that can be used on Windows 10. This is one that can be used on Windows 11. So let's go to our playbook here and we'll go ahead and modify the command and get it to do what we want. So let's go ahead, let's replace system drive. We know it's the C drive, users. Username, we want to do Phyllis Snyder, no surprise there. And that's generally what we want to do right here. I do want to point out there's a space here. So we do have to wrap all this in quotes, otherwise it's just gonna die and it's not gonna like it. So the first thing I want to do before I upload anything to this folder is to see what's in it. You want a good baseline of the system and how it's configured before you go and start making changes. So we're gonna do dir. We're gonna paste in our path here. And sure enough, we have one other thing in this folder, and spoiler alert, this is actually gonna come into play in our next video. So let's go ahead and ignore this for now. Honestly, on a production system, if you do see a bunch of different things in the startup folder, that should kind of cue you off that, hey, they're actually using this. I can probably add something to it, and they may not notice. Versus if it's empty, a lot of times it's like, okay, it's empty. Are they monitoring things being created in there? So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna upload our remote access tool to this folder, and then on reboot, it should call us back. So let's see what we got here. We need to get our upload command done and ready. So let's go back to our playbook. We got to figure out what we want to call it. There's not a ton of stuff to blend into here. I see off limits lab. That's something we actually have for infrastructure. But if we called it something like lab.exe, I think that'd blend in pretty well to that bat file off limits lab. If an admin were to log in and look, they'd see the bat and then our exe and they'd say, hey, maybe they're related, right? Maybe they work together. So we have the destination set up here. The one thing we do have to remember, the sliver specific issue of the double backslashes. So I do need to come through and fix that in this command. Shouldn't take too long. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap quotes around all of it. I'm not exactly sure what Sliver's gonna do about a destination with a space in the name, but hey, we can figure it out. And then we just need the source file, which I believe I already had it way up here when I did my copy last time, which, yep, sure enough. So let's copy this. We'll come back down, paste it in here. Because we're in an actual drop-down prompt here, I'm gonna go ahead and exit a few times to get back to the Sliver main plugin menu. That way I can call the upload plugin. So let's wait for it to load. Sometimes it takes a minute or two to get back. Let's bounce back to the beginning here. We'll type upload. And sure enough, uploading. Awesome, the file was uploaded to the host. Now I want you to think through, are you good to reboot the box? Are you good to just move on and assume you have persistence? The answer is no. You want to make sure that without a shadow of a doubt, that file is there. And the best way to do that is by doing some type of directory listing, or we can use the ls command with Sliver to see if that file does indeed exist. So we're going to go ahead and do our ls command here. We do need to do the double backslashes, kind of a headache, I know, kind of bouncing back and forth. And this is a good example. A lot of red team tools are awesome, but they're not the most feature filled. So definitely get experience kind of bouncing around to different things. I promise after you use a few different tools, you really start to get the hang of how to interact with them, how to use the command line arguments and all of that. So I just did my ls It looks awesome. Lab.exe, it's there. It's got a file size. I could even compare file sizes to make sure it's mostly okay. I think we're good to reboot and cross our fingers and hope it works. So I'm gonna get down into a shell again just to make sure that this reboot command works. We'll do a cmd.exe, shutdown, whack R, whack F, whack T0. Shell should die. Yep, it's dead. So now we're good to go. Let's go ahead and wait and see if it comes back. And we have a callback, which is awesome. That means our startup folder worked. Lab.exe is calling us back. We could even do the task list like we did in the last one. So let's do a sessions. We'll do a sessions tech I, paste in the ID here, go down into a shell, yes. cmd.exe. We can do a task list, whack V, find string, and look for lab.exe. This is going to do our process list, pull out lab.exe if it exists in there. And not surprisingly, lab.exe, awesome. It worked, right? We're good to go. Machine rebooted, we lost our callback, and we got our new persisted lab.exe that's sitting in that startup folder. Now with this one, it's actually really easy to clean up. You just delete the file. And that's the end of this section. I hope that was helpful. Startup folder is a little bit easier. You don't need to make any configuration changes. You just upload something to that folder and it's executed on user login. Click through to the next video and we're actually gonna run through something a little bit different. We're gonna talk about poisoning existing scripts.